Hello, everyone. Lucy Hammett is a life and wellness coach specializing in helping stressed and burned out business owners and executives create balance in their lives, manage stress and anxiety, and get healthy. She spent 26 years in the corporate retailing industry. She was the stressed, burned out, unhappy individual she now serves. After leaving the corporate world in 2005, she started her wellness journey losing 65 pounds. Please welcome Lucy Hammett.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. How is everyone? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Well, it's great to see you all today. It's a lot different being up here than it is sitting back there, but it's fun. It's great to be here. So thank you for that amazing introduction. And yes, I am a success coach, and my focus is stress management to prevent burnout by developing mental fitness. We'll do a little bit of mental fitness today, but primarily I'm talking about the importance of life-work balance for your health, your job satisfaction, and productivity. So when you hear that term, life-work balance, what does that mean? Just shout out for me. What do you think that means? Don't be shy. Not taking work home. Ooh, I like that. What else? I love that. Having it on and off, that switch. Yes, love it. Anything else? Yes, yes. Giving your family as much of yourself as you do your work. All great, great answers. Anybody else before we move on? All right, so here is the definition, and I'm still trying to get used to this enormous jumbotron here. Life-work balance is a state of equilibrium where an individual's career and personal life are in alignment. So what is important to note is that they're both equally important. Yet, wouldn't you agree that at times it all becomes one-sided? It's either all work or it's all personal, depending upon the situation. And I don't want you to think that there is a magic pill that you can take that will just automatically put your life in balance. Probably not. You know, life happens, and there will be periods of your life that are a little skewed towards work or family, but that is okay. What is important to notate is that if you are more often in either a state of all one way or the other, then you need to change something because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for your relationships. It's not healthy for your personal health, and it's not great for your business. Okay. So why do we have an out of balanced life? Well, we've heard multiple people talk about unrealistic job expectations. Gotta love COVID, right? And I guess we can't just blame it on COVID because we had other issues as well. But have you ever been in a situation where your organization did like a restructuring and you're ending up doing the job of multiple people? Everyday life, right? Pretty much, especially now. Yes, that can be very, very stressful. Very stressful. So those can be unrealistic work expectations. An inability to prioritize and manage work responsibilities. Now you would think, okay, this is a no-brainer. People should know how to prioritize tasks, but you would be surprised at how many people, even leaders in organizations, who cannot properly prioritize tasks. It's mind-blowing, but it's very, very true. So you may not relate to that at all, but I guarantee there are people who you work with who struggle with this. Learning curve. You get promoted, you change jobs. There is a learning curve. And depending upon what the change is, it could be a good 6 months before you actually start to feel comfortable. Now, I'm not saying you can't do your job before 6 months, but there could be a very big learning curve. Again, another source for being out of balance. Illness. Again, that COVID word. So fun. Well, illness can certainly wreak havoc, not only in the workplace, but in your personal life. And God forbid if you get cancer or have chronic diabetes or heart disease and your health is really compromised, it can really cause a lot of problems. Caring for aging parents. Anybody here have parents who are aging that need some help? Yeah, it can be challenging. And depending upon the severity of the situation, it's almost like having children again in a different way. And it's very challenging. Anybody here in that sandwich generation where they have kids who are still at home or maybe in college and they don't need maybe quite as much attention, but they still need attention. And then you have aging parents on top of it. That can be challenging because you're pulled in so many different directions, right? Or you could just be starting a family and certainly going from the single life to a newly married couple to then having a family, huge, huge adjustment. Are there any other things that come to mind when you think of getting out of balance that could cause being out of balance? Y'all are really quiet. Okay. Maybe something will come to mind. All right, so let's talk about side effects. These are always fun. A decline in physical health. That's the big one. Now, when our life gets severely out of balance, it's most likely due to stress. Anybody in here ever been stressed? I see these hands. Yes, right now. Help me, please. Yes, stress is very difficult. And you know, it's kind of sneaky because you have little subtle symptoms in the beginning where you just might have like a slight tension headache, or you might have forgetfulness. And then before you know it, it turns into really severe problems. And illness is one of those. And a lot of times we get ill because we don't take care of our health. If we're working all the time, what are your eating habits like? Right, right. You're pretty much just grabbing whatever you can when you can. Not good. And not sleeping. Oh, that's sleep. You ever wake up in the middle of the night and your brain is going 90 to nothing and you cannot stop that stupid mind chatter? The previous speaker talked about that and it was pretty humorous. But why is it when we wake up in the middle of the night that things become so monumental for some reason? It's like, oh my gosh, I have to go change a light bulb in the kitchen. If I don't, my life is going to fall apart. Something so ridiculous as that could have you just festering and going down this negative thought pattern. Well, that is a sign of stress. And lack of sleep has been known to be as important, or actually your sleep, proper sleep, is as important as what you eat and how you move your body. There's been more and more research to support that. Exhibiting anxiety, depression, or feeling overwhelmed. Again, another big side effect of an out of balance life. An overcommitted schedule. You ever feel like your schedule is controlling you? There are not enough hours in the day. I see some heads like vigorously nodding. Yeah, it's not a good feeling. We're going to talk about that in a minute. There's a worksheet on your table I'm going to talk about in a minute. Communication and relationship challenges. When we get really stressed, we are more likely to become triggered. And something that on an average day where we felt relaxed wouldn't really bother us, but somebody could say something and it could be their tone of voice and it just sets you off. And instead of listening to learn, you listen to respond and you just bleh. That does not help the situation at all. And unfortunately, that can be a side effect of an out of balance life. And if you're working all the time, well, your family and friends, especially your family, are going to start to resent you for it because they don't see you. So another big issue. Oh, this is a fun one. Poor decision making due to lack of mental clarity. So I did a TEDx actually at the end of August, and I talked about a lot of the different symptoms of chronic stress. This is a symptom of chronic stress. So I told you that a subtle symptom might be forgetfulness. You ever have forgetfulness? You walk into a room and you forgot what it was that you walked into the room for? Yeah, it happens. Okay, that's nothing really serious, but it is kind of a warning sign that you might be a little stressed. Well, if you become chronically stressed, you exhibit symptoms of dementia. How fun is that? We all want to have dementia, right? Not a fun thing at all. Other symptoms of chronic stress: heart disease, stroke, migraines, stomach issues, and the list goes on and on. So this is, again, a byproduct of that out of balance life. You're probably going, boy, this is really buzz killing my afternoon. Well, it's really more of to provide you with an awareness of what the symptoms are. And then lastly, we talked about burnout, and Andrea did such a beautiful job talking about burnout today. I've been through burnout. In 2005, after 26 years in the corporate retailing industry, I hit burnout and I felt like I had hit a wall, literally slammed in a wall at full speed. And I was done. I was miserable. I could not spend one more day in this toxic environment. I was 65 pounds overweight. I was suffering from chronic migraines and digestive issues. My marriage was on a steady decline. And I took a drastic step and I exited that 26-year career at a very high paying salary because I was done. And it caused significant financial hardship for many years. So I share this with you to say, to implore you, please acknowledge the warning signs before you reach burnout, because you don't want to go through burnout if you don't have to. All right. So how does this impact the employer and the employees when the staff is burnt out? Well, the first thing is employee absenteeism due to illness and also lack of job satisfaction. So, we were talking about how busy and overworked you might be. Well, if your employees aren't coming to work because they're burnt out and stressed and they're ill, well, that's just exacerbating the problem, right? So we have to notice the warning signs in the people who work for us. Higher healthcare costs. Oh, that's great for an organization, right? And then the quality of the health coverage goes down, and yeah, not a good situation to be in. Unhappy employees, huge morale eroder. There's nothing that destroys company culture worse than bad morale from employees that are miserable. Poor productivity, and lastly, increased turnover. Again, incredibly expensive. So let's talk about what we can do personally and how we can help others to get our life more in balance. Now, some of these you're going to go, really? That seems dumb. But it's sometimes the most subtle things that can make the most difference, like asking for help. How many of y'all love to ask for help? Why? Yes, we don't. And why is it that we do not enjoy asking for help? Yes, vulnerability. It's really uncomfortable, isn't it? Fear of rejection. Oh, yeah, that's not a good one. That just makes you feel all kinds of wrong. The thing is, especially in the workplace, if you are struggling to do something and it's taking you forever to try to find an answer, because in your brain, you're like, well, I can't ask for help because they're going to think I don't know how to do my job. And then that's not going to reflect well. And then, oh my gosh, I could get fired and blah, blah, blah. You know, all this negative mind trash that we love to tell ourselves. So what do? We ask for help. It's okay. Because you know what? Bottom line is it's going to help your productivity and it's going to reduce your stress level. Now, personally, I learned this lesson when I had a knee replacement several years ago, and it was the lowest point in my life. I had a lot of complications and I had to ask for help. And I was one of those people that hated to ask for help because you know what? I can do everything, right? Don't we all feel that way? Oh, I'm superhuman. I can do everything. Well, that's a load of crap. We can't. We're human. We cannot do everything. So I had to rely on others and it was very humbling. But you know what I found is that people who care about you, they want to help you and they want you to ask them for help or they want to offer assistance to you. It makes them feel good. And if somebody extends an offer to help you when they know that you are genuinely in need, if you don't accept that, they might get a little upset or irritated because it kind of hurts their feelings. So I'm not saying just ask for help just to people please everybody, but if you genuinely need assistance, those people around you who are closest to you, they want to help you. So ask for help. Create an accomplishment list. Okay, so on your in front of you is a little handout. Now this may seem kind of remedial, but kind of a little shift in mindset. How many of y'all have heard of a to-do list, right? How many of y'all like to scratch things off that list? Oh yes, jumping up and down in the back corner there. I get it. Yes, and I have to tell you, the thing that's bad about that when gone to the extreme is your productivity is linked to your self-worth. Because if you're not crossing off enough things on that to-do list, you start to feel like a failure. So what sounds better? You have 10 lists or 10 items on a to-do list, and you crossed out 3. How does that make you feel? Like you got an F, right? Not a good feeling, right? But if it was an accomplishment list and you crossed off 3 things on an accomplishment list, how would that make you feel? Maybe a little better. Takes practice, but you were accomplished, right? Okay, so remember at the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that there are those individuals who really struggle with prioritization. And again, it may seem crazy, but what I like about the accomplishment list in front of you is, yes, you can jot down what it is that you need to do, but you also indicate how long it's going to take you to do that task and when it's due. You would think that would be a no-brainer, right? But how many of y'all think about that consistently? Probably not. There are 3 pages, so you can have accomplishment lists for today, for this week, and for later on. So it can really help you. And again, if this isn't something that you struggle with, great. I guarantee there's somebody that you work with that struggles with this. And this is a great tool to help them prioritize. Now, when creating your accomplishment list, there are certain things to take into account. And the first one is setting healthy boundaries. What is that? What's a healthy boundary? Achievable? Yes, absolutely can be achievable. How would you describe a healthy boundary? Yes. Oh, did y'all hear that? The ability to help someone else without harming yourself. That's amazing. I love that. Bottom line, a healthy boundary is putting yourself first. How does that make you feel? Kind of icky? Or is it like, yes, of course I'm going to put myself first because I'm awesome, right? I know you say that and you're in front of your mirror every day. I'm awesome. I'm so awesome. No, that might be a little weird. I know. Or maybe not. It's all about perception. But again, the thing is healthy boundaries. If you don't take care of you, you can't care for anybody else. So it is okay to put that oxygen mask on yourself first. So put yourself first. So when you're doing that accomplishment list, you need to be thinking about the healthy boundaries that you need to set. And yes, they need to be achievable. That's very important. Learn to say no. I love this. This is always a fun one. How many of y'all struggle with saying no? Be honest. Anybody? It can be hard, right? Because bottom line, we want to be liked, right? But if I say no, I'm going to offend somebody. Oh my gosh, we don't want to offend anybody. Screw how, we feel. We can't offend anybody. And then if we say no in the workplace, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired. I'm not a team player. I could never say no in the workplace. Well, the thing is if you are saying yes all the time, and it is impacting, especially at work, your productivity and your stress level, you need to say no. The thing about saying no, it's how you say it. So I'm going to give you two different examples, one for personal, if you struggle saying no to friends and family, and then a work-related scenario. So we're going into the holiday season. It's right around the corner, and it can be a love-hate relationship for many people. You might love the holidays, but if you are already stressed and overwhelmed, the holidays can just put you over the edge. So I want you to imagine that it is the middle of December, and think of it in terms of like a 1 week period. And you have a lot of work responsibilities, and every night after work, except for Thursday nights, you have something to do. And you're kind of dreading it because you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do and I'm really getting tired. But you know what? I know that I have Thursday night, that I can just be at home and I can relax and chill. So you've kind of kept that open. Well, imagine, if you will, that a good friend of yours that you haven't seen in a while calls you on the phone or texts you and says, so-and-so is going to be in town, and you like so-and-so. So-and-so is really awesome. They're going to be in town, and I just want to get, a fun small group together so we can have a nice dinner and some holiday cheer, and won't that be fun? And oh, you have to come join us. How many of y'all would go? See a few hands. Why would you go? Obligation. How are you going to feel knowing that you were obligated to go and this was your only night off? How's that going to make you feel? A little resentful. It could. At the time, you might be thinking, oh, this is really fun. But then you go home and it's late and you have to get up early for work. And you're like, well, I just blew my one evening. Even though it was fun, I'm like, man, I could have really used that time off. So you get resentful. Okay, that's not setting a healthy boundary. So what you could say in a situation like that, and what I have learned is don't apologize. How many of y'all want to immediately say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't go. I can't. Oh, I want to, but I can't. Don't apologize. Don't apologize. You can be honest and just say, thank you for this invitation. It sounds great. My schedule is so full this week, and that is the only night I can be at home with my family. I'm going to have to regretfully decline. So that person could either say, oh, come on. This is going to be so fun. You only see us, like once a year or whatever. Or they might be saying in their head, wow, man, I really should have done the same thing. They're probably thinking that, but they won't say it. So that's an example of how you can do a personal no. Now in the workplace, again, we don't like saying no in the workplace because that makes us look bad. We don't want to look bad. So imagine, if you will, that I was going to say boss, but after the boss leader conversation, I'm like, okay, so your leader comes to you and has a project that is needed to be completed by Friday. Let's say it's Tuesday, and you have a full plate. You have a lot of things on your plate and with deadlines for Friday. And you know that if you say yes to this, something's got to give, and you're going to miss a deadline. It's not going to make you look too good, right? But gosh, you can't tell your leader no, because that's going to look like you can't do your job. So here's what you could say. I'm very concerned about saying yes to this because I have X, Y, and Z to complete by Friday. And I'm concerned that if I say yes to this, one of those things is not going to be completed. And I know that was your expectation. So if you were open to me moving X to next week and completing then I can complete that task for you. Or you could offer another situation. If you happen to know of somebody who might have a little more time that could help, you could recommend that person and say, I think this person might have more availability that they can assist with this. So what is good about that situation? Exactly. You offer a solution because your leader doesn't want to hear you say, nope, sorry, not doing it. Nope. That is not being a team player. But by saying no this way and offering a solution, you are showing that not only are you concerned about doing the right thing, but you have your boss's interest, your leader's interest in mind, and you want to make sure that it gets done correctly. So, in that situation, your leader has two choices. They could say, okay, that's fine, move X to Tuesday, no problem. Or, you know what, I'll go ask Jeff to do this, whatever, but at least you're giving a solution. So again, that's the art of saying no, which I know is scary, but it can be done. Protecting your energy. What do I mean by that? Amen. Can we get a round of applause for that? Yes. Yes. So imagine you wake up and you're in a good mood, right? You feel good, you feel positive, and you come in contact with negative Nellie. And man, Nellie, all she does is just, life sucks. It's all about me. And before you know it, that good mood that you had is now in the toilet. It's no longer there. So it's not only people that can cause this energy shift, it's any influencers in your life. So what are influencers? So yes, they're people, but what else could they be? Social media. What else? The news? Hear the news? Yeah. I stopped watching the news probably 10 years ago. I figured if something is that important, I'm going to know about it. Well, my husband will probably tell me about it, but it pisses me off. I get so upset and irritated when I watch the news. If we would, okay, I'm not even going to go there. I was going to say, if we actually had news, then it would be different, but I'm not going to go there. So I don't go there. So it's really assessing what those influencers are in your life. And if you have a negative mindset and life sucks, I guarantee it's who is in your circle of influence. Now, if it is a person and that is a family member, or God forbid, somebody you work with, it's not like you can just remove them from your life, but you can limit the exposure. And make sure that you go in with the best possible mindset. All right, controlling your calendar. You know, I mentioned earlier about, you ever feel like your calendar is controlling you? Yeah, that's not a fun one, right? But here you go. You are in control of your calendar. No one but you. So if you feel like there are not enough hours in the day to get something done, that's on you. That is on you. Now, I know we all lead busy lives. We are in stressful jobs. I get it. I totally get it. But I'm sorry, you can schedule time for yourself. And that is what is so needed when your life goes out of balance. So again, it's basic self-care. How many of y'all take a lunch break? Well, I'm impressed that some people raised their hands. Yay, that's awesome. If you didn't raise your hands, I understand, because when I was in corporate, I never took a lunch break either. I'm like, I don't have time to take a lunch break. Are you freaking kidding me? That's so frivolous. The thing is, are you also answering emails late at night? I would take that as maybe yes. Are you just a little too accessible by text or phone sometimes? Yeah, so those are the healthy boundaries that we were talking about earlier. And the thing is, you are setting that expectation. So if you are at work and you are consistently eating through what would be your lunch period, and when you go home at night, you know that your leader can contact you whenever the heck they want, that's the boundary that you failed to set. And that is the expectation. You have made yourself way too accessible, and you have to stop. Now, it is hard when you have opened yourself up to then start to rein yourself back in, but it can be done, and it is necessary. You have to do that. Self-care. So when you have a doctor's appointment, what do? What was that? Yeah, you take off, right? You schedule it on your calendar. Okay, so that's self-care. So why isn't going for a walk or taking a mental health break? And I'm not saying take the whole day off, but take 20 minutes or whatever. That is as important. It's part of your health and wellness, but we don't take care of ourselves that way. We're like, oh, that's frivolous. We can't do that. No, it's necessary. So you need to schedule those things. All right. Now I have a ginormous QR code on here. So we were talking about the accomplishment list. If that is something that you think could be beneficial to you or somebody you work with, then that is the QR code for the PDF of the handout that you have. All right, so some other things. Disconnecting. It is okay to disconnect from your phone and from social media and from television. I know it's terrifying, right? Oh my gosh, what if they can't reach me? What if I go radio silent for, God forbid, an hour? Oh my gosh, the world's gonna implode. What did we do back in the day? And I know this isn't relatable to everybody, but what did we do back in the day when there were no cell phones, or at least no smartphones, no internet, and no computers? I know I just very much dated myself, but what did we do? We played outside. What else did we do? We read books. We enjoyed, no interruptions. What was, somebody else said something back there? We had conversation. Oh my gosh. Oh, what's that? How do we talk to people? We're so buried in our phones half the time, we don't talk to people. I mean, it's really sad, but the art of conversation is lost. It really is. It's really sad. Now, I'm not saying throw out all these devices because they're awesome and I use them and I'm on social media, but you need to limit your intake. And that is what I'm trying to tell you. Go on vacation. Okay. I hope nobody can relate to the story that I'm about to share. So when I was in corporate, I dreaded going on vacation. You probably think that I'm like a complete nut job, but I did, because I had to spend 12 to 14 hours a day prepping to go on vacation, trying to anticipate any problem that could go wrong, making sure that everything was buttoned up, that passed off, everything, so that I could go on vacation. And I was so stressed out by the time I went on vacation that it took me a good 3 days to calm down. And then finally, by the time I relaxed, I had like 2 days to actually enjoy myself. And then it was the last day of vacation. And then I started thinking about the crap that I was going to find when I went to work on Monday. And it literally made me physically sick. I mean, how twisted and screwed up is that? And we're laughing because it's relatable, but it is awful. You know, God loved the Europeans, because did you know that in Europe, when you start your career out of college, they call it university, when you start, you automatically get 4 weeks of paid vacation. It takes how many years for us to get 4 weeks of paid vacation? 10? Or maybe never? 4 weeks to start. And then I think after 5 years, they get 6 weeks, and 10 years, oh, they get like 8 weeks. Because they recognize that you have got to take vacation, that you have to disconnect, that you have to care for yourself. Because when you do, you're going to be more productive. You're going to be a better spouse, a better friend, a better worker. You're just going to be a happier, healthier person. And your life will definitely be more balanced. So go on vacation and don't do what I did. Find ways to move throughout the day. Okay, you notice I didn't say exercise, because that's a dirty word for a lot of people. How many of y'all sit at a desk all day long? Most, yes. Well, I'm here to tell you that your bodies are designed to move, and that when we sit for too long, our organs start to shut down. You're thinking, oh, that's stupid. Of course not. No, it's true. Think about it. If you have been in bed because you've been sick, or you're just exhausted, and you've been really sedentary for a period of time, what happens to your digestion? You don't have to tell me the gory details, but I think you kind of have the idea. It starts to slow down, right? Well, that is your digestive tract going to sleep. Happens with your circulation. Blood's not going to the right body parts and organs, they start to shut down. So I want you to think about what you do in a given day. What are some things that you do in a given day where you could just add steps? I don't want you to think about going to a gym and exercising. If you love to do that, kudos to you, that's fantastic. But if you don't have time and you don't want to do that, that's okay. How can you move more throughout the day? Shout out for me. What's something that you could do? Stand up while working. Absolutely. Those are great, the little steppers. Yes, what were you going to say? Absolutely. That is a really good one. Not only you stay hydrated, but then you have to pee constantly. So absolutely. What else? What was that? Walking meetings. Yes, absolutely. What else? You go to the grocery store? Try not to. You're like, heck no. Okay, so let me use a holiday reference. So again, we're going into the holiday season soon. How many of y'all, and I know you've done this at one time or another, have driven around in the Walmart parking lot or at the mall, driving around for a good 20 minutes trying to find that perfect parking spot? That's your husband. It's not just your husband. Yes. Had you parked in the back 40 to begin with and walked to the front door, you would have gotten there quicker than driving around in the parking lot for 20 minutes and getting pissed off, because you know what always happens, right? You're driving and you just slide past the car that pulls out. You're like, seriously, really? I've been sitting there for 20 minutes. So get rid of that stress and just park in the back 40. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. What are some other things? Yes, and why are smartwatches such a good thing? They do. They tell you to get up every hour. Yeah, get up, move, spend 5 minutes, spend a minute. Movement is movement. And there is this biggest misconception that, you know what, I have to be active for at least 30 minutes at a time in order for it to count. Well, that's a load of crap. I'm here to tell you. Movement is movement, okay? And it all adds up. So if you can only move for 5 minutes here and 10 minutes here, or maybe 20 minutes here, it all adds up and it's all beneficial. Get the point? A little bit, maybe? You're like, she's mean. She's really mean. All right. Do things that bring you joy. Now, these are just some things. I'm sure you have other things that bring you joy. These are not going on an expensive vacation. It's not going out to an expensive restaurant, getting a new car, buying an outfit, whatever. Yes, those are great, fun things, but it's really finding the joys in the simple pleasures. And when we do this consistently, we are happier, and happier people are healthier. Bless you. So go for a walk. You know, studies show that when you are outside, that is just a mood elevator in itself, just being in the fresh air and the natural light. And then exercise, you get those endorphins going, and it's pretty awesome. So go for a walk. Listen to music. Music has been known to be calming and relaxing. Now, heavy metal, maybe not so much, but you know, there's a time and a place that you can listen to that. Read a chapter in your favorite book. Listen to a podcast. Read a blog. Play with your pets. Did you know that people who have pets live longer than those who don't? Why is that? They bring you happiness, right? They drive you crazy, but they bring you happiness. They do. And I don't know, that unconditional love of a dog is pretty awesome. Yes, they can get sloppy and messy and can bug the crap out of you sometimes, but it's really nice to come home to somebody who always appreciates you, even when you have a really crappy day. Cats, I love cats. I'll admit I'm a cat lover, but cats, you know, are a little more independent, but that's okay. They can share love too. You can play with your kids or your grandkids or your neighbor's kids. Reach out to a loved one. Is there somebody that you have not spoken to in a long time? Pick up the phone. I know that seems weird, right? But pick up the phone. Better yet, put in some earbuds, go for a walk, and call your friend or family member. You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Meditation. Anybody in here meditate? Awesome. Now, I love meditation because it really can be calming and can be very grounding. But let's face it, if we're in a high stress position and you're being triggered in the moment, it's a little challenging to say, hold that thought. I need to go meditate in the closet for 20 minutes. You can't really do that, right? And again, I'm not poo-pooing meditation. It's fantastic, but it's not always practical to just check yourself out. So here are some things, and this is a little bit about the mental fitness piece of it. And I mentioned that I did a TEDx and actually walked the audience through this. So a mini meditation could be engaging your senses in any form. So imagine, I want you to look at something in front of you, really, really look at it with such intention that you notice colors, shapes, textures, maybe a reflection in the surface. I want you to just bore a hole in it with your eyes and really, really look at it. Next, you could focus on something that you could hear. Could be the most distant sound that you hear, which could be a passing car. Kind of hard to hear a passing car in here, but humor me. And then you can also focus on the closest sound that you can hear, which most often is your breath and me beating my microphone. I like the sense of touch. Okay, let's do this together. I want you to rub 2 fingertips together, okay? Just rub them together. But I want you to really feel the fingertip ridges on your fingers. Are your fingertips dry? Are they smooth? What's the temperature of your fingertips? Now, this may seem kind of weird, but I'll tell you what it does. When you are stressed and you're in a situation where you're getting hijacked by a bunch of negative emotions, what this does is it quiets those emotions and shifts to the positive right brain, providing you with more calm, clarity, and focus. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So I share that with you because in essence, it's a little mini meditation, and you can do it when you're talking to somebody. If somebody is starting to really irritate you, really look at their eyes, look at the iris, the color of their irises and their eyes. Really look at them intently. They're going to be thinking, wow, they're really engaged in what I'm saying. Well, you can still hear what they're saying, but what that's doing is it's pausing. It's causing you to just pause before reacting. So that's different versions of meditation. Devotions. If you're spiritual, praying can be very calming and grounding. Light a favorite candle. Again, it's very similar to listening to music. Studies have shown that certain scents can be very calming. Oh, I love this one. Enjoy a cup of coffee or tea. Okay, so I love coffee. How many of you like coffee? Good number. If you don't, it's okay. Maybe you like tea. Do you like tea? Humor me. Let's say you do. Okay, so every morning, kind of a meditation for me is I have this mug, and I love this mug. It's this really pretty, like pottery mug. It's big, and it's got a sunflower on it, and I love sunflowers. And I put my coffee in it, and I have this cinnamon coffee that I like to drink, and it smells so good. And maybe you don't really like the taste of coffee, but you have to admit, it smells pretty darn good. So what I do is I'm sitting and I'm holding that warm mug, and there's something about holding a warm mug that is soothing and comforting. And I'm just holding it and I'm feeling, like the texture of the design. And then I'm smelling that aroma. Oh, gosh, it smells so good. And then I take a sip and I hold that taste in my mouth for a moment, and then I slowly swallow, and I can feel the warmth going down my throat into my stomach. That's my morning meditation, and I love it, and it's great. So that is something that you could do. You can do that with tea as well. So I know the next time you have coffee, you're gonna be going, okay, now I'm thinking of that weirdo who's telling me the story about how she drinks her coffee. Okay. Watching a favorite episode of television. That's okay. You can watch TV. If it makes you laugh, watch it. It's great. Or if it's a crime drama, whatever it is. The thing is if you're binge watching Netflix every night and it is preventing you from getting a good night's rest, that's a problem. That's a problem. Look at a favorite photo or inspirational saying. I have photos in my office of trips that I've been on and family members, things that speak to me, that transport me to a time that was really awesome. And I also have inspirational quotes that I have. I have a screensaver on my computer that says everything is figure outable. Yes, I like Marie Forleo, but it's whatever speaks to you, whatever speaks to you. And then practicing gratitude. Anybody in here practice gratitude? Some. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how to practice gratitude if you don't. It's really thinking of 3 things that you're thankful for. And the key to gratitude is you want to do it first thing in the morning when you're waking, because it gets your day off to a positive start. And when you're in bed, getting ready for sleep, you want to think of 3 things as well. Because what that does is that gets pushed into your subconscious mind. And when you sleep, you're thinking those positive thoughts so that when you wake up in the morning, you're more likely to wake up with a positive mindset. Now, kind of goes along with these things that bring you joy. You don't have to be thankful for, oh, the big, raise I got at work, or I have a new car, or, I have a fancy house, whatever it is. Those are great things. And I'm not trying to say those aren't great things, but I want you to be thankful for the small things. And some days, if you're having a crappy day, some days I am so thankful I have hot running water, or I have a roof over my head, or I have plenty of food to eat. And I'll tell you, the more you do it, the easier it is to continue. I love this quote. Your greatest contribution in life is not your work. Your greatest contribution is showing up and being fully present in the lives of the people you are surrounded with. I would hope that when you reach the end of your life and you're looking back, that your first thought isn't, wow, I worked really hard. I worked all the time. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. I would hope that you would think about those lives that you touched and those relationships that you had and how they brought so much value to your life. Because that's really what matters. Okay, so to wrap up, if your life is out of balance and you struggle with stress and maybe unhealthy habits, so this is a QR code to a 2 to 3 minute stress and wellness checkup that you can do. You'll just answer some questions. It'll take you several minutes, and it will give you a good indicator of where your life might be out of balance. Everybody get that? All right, and as I mentioned, I am on social media. LinkedIn is my platform of choice. I do a lot of educational content on LinkedIn, but I also have presence on YouTube and multiple Facebook groups and pages, Instagram and Twitter. So please, if you're on any of those, like, follow, would love to friend you. I won't stalk you, I promise. And then lastly, and some of you have already bought this, and I'm so thankful, I just published a book. Thank you. And it's called From Burnout to Best Life, and it integrates my story of overcoming burnout to living my happiest, healthiest life. And you can as well too. So it really is a book to get you to reflect on those areas in your life where there might be opportunity. So I have copies if you would like to purchase. And when you do purchase a book, you can receive a downloadable workbook, a companion for it. So that is me. And I think we have maybe 5 minutes. Oops, we'll go back. So any questions or any comments about maybe what's coming up for you right now? Have I thoroughly depressed you? I really hope I haven't. I hope I've inspired you to take positive action and to help get your life more balanced. Anybody? Well, thank you all very much. You've been a great group. It's been a pleasure being here. And again, I'm Lisa Hammett, and enjoy the rest of your conference.